We do know that innocent civilians in Gaza continue to be killed by Israeli strikes, and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is growing increasingly dire. Thousands of people around the world are protesting and calling for a ceasefire in Washington, D.C., in Paris, and Berlin. Protesters are crying out about the humanitarian crisis, the loss of life, the suffering of so many innocent civilians. And how can you not be affected by these horrific images we're seeing out of Gaza? Children bloody, children's bodies, families starving, little, if any, medical care, homes destroyed. It turns out that a Saudi journalist asked the spokesman for Hamas that very question. His response was quite telling in terms of Hamas's concerns about Palestinian lives.
Dear sister, nations are not easily liberated. Afghanistan sacrificed millions of martyrs to defeat the USSR and then the US. The Algerian people sacrificed 6 million martyrs over 130 years. The Palestinian people are just like any other nation. No nation is liberated without sacrifices.
No nation is liberated without sacrifices. Not exactly an expression of regret for innocent Palestinian deaths. A journalist from Russia Today, a Russian state media outlet, asked Musa Abu Marzouk from the Hamas political bureau, quote, "You have built 500 kilometers of tunnels in Gaza. Why haven't you built bomb shelters where Palestinian civilians can hide during bombardment?" And here's how Hamas responded.
We have built the tunnels because we have no other way of protecting ourselves from being targeted and killed. These tunnels are meant to protect us from the airplanes. We are fighting from inside the tunnels. Everybody knows that 75% of the people in the Gaza Strip are refugees. And it is the responsibility of the United Nations to protect them.
Ghazi Hamad, a member of Hamas's political bureau, told Lebanese TV that the Al-Aqsa flood, that's what Hamas called the October 7th attack.
This is just the first time, and there will be a second, a third, a fourth, because we have the determination, the resolve, and the capabilities to fight. Will we have to pay a price? Yes, and we are ready to pay it. We are called a nation of martyrs, and we are proud to sacrifice martyrs.
So, Hamas, which is the government of Gaza, based on their own words, A, they think the loss of Palestinian civilian lives is just the cost of liberation. B, they think that even though they're the government of Gaza, it's not their responsibility to protect Palestinian civilians. The tunnels are for themselves, for fighting, not for civilians. And C, they're determined to continue attacking Israel the same way they did on October 7th, over and over and over, based on what they say. So for these reasons, Israel says, we can't have a ceasefire. Listen to what they say. So they're pushing forward with their ground incursion into Gaza. From the point of view of Israel, they hear all the calls for a ceasefire. What they do not hear is anyone in the international community proposing any way for them to get back their 240 hostages that Hamas kidnapped. They don't hear anyone proposing any way for Hamas to be removed from the leadership of Gaza. Israel sees the parades and the rallies for the ceasefire, and they see no parades and no rallies for the return of the hostages or the removal of Hamas.